afternoon, you guys. Welcome to the Shay Show. My name is Shay. We're going to speak with Dr. Bex Doyle today. So we've been having some behind the scenes technology issues. She's in London. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. We both got our times confused. I thought that 1:30 over here on the East Coast was 7:30 her time. Turns out it's 6:30 her time. My husband told me it's because of daylight savings time. I did not realize that we were 5 hours difference, not 6 hours difference. So now quickly, she's going to be jumping on, coming from work. She's been working all day long. This lady is phenomenal, and she's like undercover. So listen, she's going to look low key. She's going to look like maybe the little professor who's just a little like all over the place a little bit. Don't get it twisted. She is a powerful, strong woman who has come back from some significant setbacks. Significant. So when I read her bio, I asked her, Bex, can you please send me, look at her. She is here. Look at her. Let me go get her. Let me go get you, Bex. And boom, boom, send her. This is huge, you guys. We had to climb mountains to get here. Bex.
Okay, right. I'm trying still.
We're trying still. You know what you do? What you should do? Get another heavy book and put it at the very base of the phone so it won't topple.
I think it might just be if I'm just going to keep my finger here on it.
Okay, well then if you're going to keep your finger on it, then just hold it. It's going to be difficult for you. That's what I was trying not for you to do.
I know, I don't know why my phone is so crap, but...
No, it's not crap. We're good. Good.
Right.
So Dr. Bex?
Yes, I guess you can call me that. I still think I'm just going to hold it, right? Okay, everybody see how I'm not very clever at technology, right? Okay, I'm fine. Yeah, everyone calls me I still think it's funny when people call me doctor, but there we go.
What do you prefer to be called? I want to call you Dr. Bex Doyle, but I know that's
just Bex is normally
okay. So we're going to call you Dr. Bex.
Okay. This is my disheveled look. This is like even my long day sort of hair.
Listen, I already told him. I said, look, she's going to look like the little nutty professor who's all over the place, but don't get it twisted. This lady is a powerful woman who has a powerful story and has come back from some amazing odds, things that would level the average human being. So I just want to tell people real quick, I've not ever met Bex, Dr. Bex in person. She and I are part of a running group called Fat Girl Running. And we met there, just sharing our lives. And one time recently, she said something to the effect of she was apologizing for having a little meltdown or breakdown. And I didn't know what she was talking about because all I had consistently seen was somebody share these kind of Herculean efforts and successes. And I was like, breakdown? What are we talking about? All I see is like, how the hell are you doing this stuff? So I reached out to Dr. Bex and I said, Dr. Bex, gosh, would you mind sharing some of this with my little world that I have? And she said, if you think it's something, I'm like, if I think it's something, yes, I think it's something. I want to talk to you about this. And so she agreed. So now I'm going to dive into asking her some questions. And I'm telling you this, the answers and story that she is going to lay out today, you will carry with you for the rest of your life. I'm not even using hyperbole. So let's dive in. Dr. Bex, where are you in this world? I know I've already told them, but I love asking that question.
So I'm in Norwich, the UK, England.
Okay.
East of England.
East of England. Is that near London? I've been saying you're in London, but I guess I was lying.
So, no, I studied medicine in London, but so it's a bit to the east of London because you've got London Borough, Essex is near here, which is just next to London, but
okay,
a couple of hours away.
You sent me your bio, and I had to edit some of it out just because there's only a certain amount of characters that that Instagram allows. But the heft of what I read was really stirring and harsh. So I wanted to start where you say your life was dictated to after that point, meningitis. Let's dive into meningitis.
Okay, well, at 17, so I'm 37 now. It was December the 8th, 2000, I contracted meningococcal meningitis. So they have a vaccine for that now, but they didn't when I was 17. I awoke from coma thinking I was born in 1933. and I couldn't remember I didn't remember who anyone was.
You really thought that you were born in
I
1933?
really thought I was born in 1933.
Why do you think you landed on that date?
No idea, literally no idea. I just remember I was very adamant that I was born in 1933, and I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know who anyone was.
How long had you been in a coma?
Only a week, I think. But
not only a week.
Yeah, but I'd had brain surgery, and because I was, well, the doctors told my parents I was brain dead. They used the word cabbage, which you should never use about a patient ever.
Ever.
But the reason that had all happened originally was because I presented to the doctors multiple times. They sent me home. I think I might be the longest person to survive meningitis with no treatment. So 25 hours with no treatment at all.
So you were not feeling well. Can you lead us to that moment? Like, tell us what led up to it. And what is meningitis?
Yeah, so sorry? What's meningitis?
So, what is meningitis?
So it's that horrible thing that all parents fear, basically, when your kid gets the rash, the neck ache, the photophobia, fear of lights and everything. It's common in under 2s and then the university age group, like 17 to 25. So my mum told me what happened because I didn't remember, but I became very unwell. I had a stiff neck, I had a rash, I had all the classic signs, and I became completely incoherent. But the doctor said I was fine. They kept saying I was fine. My mum was like saying, she's not fine, she's not fine. So eventually, once they realised I was not fine, I had to be...
Were you feeling all right?
I don't remember. My memory's still gone for those 3 years. I have no clue.
Wait a minute.
14 to 17, I don't really remember my life then. I don't, it's gone.
You don't remember your life from 14 to 17?
No, not really.
But there was something...
Vague.
But your mother felt like there was something wrong with you. Finally, at the age of 17, that she's like, I'm taking her to the doctor.
Yeah.
Do we now think that during that 3 years you had meningitis?
No, it's a very acute thing. It's an infection. It's a bacteria that causes an infection. So but because of the brain surgery and the brain damage, because I have brain damage, so I don't come across with some of this, but I do, that permanently damaged my memory. So that's one of the deficits I have now. But yeah, so...
And for whatever reason, your memory from 14 to 17, that's the memory that was wiped out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So your mother does she tell you complained of feeling not well around that time?
Yeah, she said that. And then she said, I look like I was drunk. But I didn't drink because I was 17, so, it was like in the morning. But she just said you woke up and you just look really, really drunk. And my mum's died a few years ago now, but I remember her saying this.
Oh my gosh. My husband had a cousin who had a moment like that where he presented as he was really drunk. They were hanging out, and he was, I think, young like that. How old was he, Matthew? What?
18.
Like 18, and they brought him there and to the doctors, and they said he was just drunk, and they're like, no, he hasn't been drinking.
Yeah.
He ended up dying that night, his cousin, and he died of I believe it was a brain aneurysm. So I think aneurysms can present similarly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything the brain can, but unfortunately the doctors just ignored it. And the workup of that is I sued the NHS for medical negligence. It took 5 years, and I won, and I used that money to train in medicine myself to be a better doctor than ones I had, because they were awful. Mm-hmm. Absolutely incompetent idiots. And I don't. And there are some lovely doctors, but don't think that some of the doctors they're good at what they do, because not all of them are.
What do you think? What is something simple they could have done that could have changed the course of that moment when you showed up to the doctors?
If they'd given me an antibiotic as soon as I presented, none of this would have happened. It's as simple as that. They could have just given me. It wouldn't have hurt me. They could have just given me. There's a certain antibiotic you give someone when suspected meningitis, and it would have all been avoided.
So what you're saying is, they could have just been like, hey, we're not quite sure, even if we're stacked, we got a lot of people we're meeting with. Yeah. They're saying this girl has not been drinking. It's in the morning. She's not drunk. She has not consumed any alcohol. These are classic meningitis, and at least let's give her the antibody. And even if she doesn't have anything, it's not going to harm her. But if she does have meningitis, this will save her life.
Yeah, they're just giving me, like, it's called ceftriaxone. They're just giving me a pill. One pill, it would have avoided it all.
A whole bunch of different things. Did anybody even ask you, I know you don't remember, but wondering whether or not you'd shared with your mom, whether or not anybody even asked you how you were doing or inquired about how you were doing? You know why I'm asking is because it's one thing after the fact to be like, yeah, if they just give me a tablet, this would have been all great. But I want to even get to the question of, did anybody even look at you or see you? Because, you know, like right now, when we go to the doctors want to be in and out of your office, like when you go for a visit, like within 5 minutes. And I think it's like 7 minutes, like they're supposed to be in there. And oftentimes they don't even touch your body. Like you don't even get physically touched by the doctor. And you're like back in the day, you breathe in at least, you know. now it's literally like, okay,
it's really,
5 minutes.
Same here. It's exactly the same here. It's really ridiculous. I don't know why it's become like this, but no one did. They just said she's drunk or she's just being belligerent. They thought I was being like a teenager and having a strop or something like that. So that is all. They didn't do anything beyond that.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, also, I think even deeper than what you're saying and just give you a tablet. They could have actually just looked at you and thought and been curious and been, oh my goodness, maybe there's something else going on. Just show some care. Just show some care.
They could have just done, they could have just been a doctor and done their job, and we would have been fine. But so, I don't know why that's sort of changed nowadays. That doesn't happen anymore. But
because it's a money-making thing. You can see more people if you spend shorter amount of time with each person. I mean, it really is. So you have meningitis. Finally, clearly something must happen. You come back and they go, oh yeah, she has meningitis. Do you go into a coma on your own, or do they put you into a coma?
No, they had to put me into a coma because, so you have 4 chambers in your brain, essentially. And once you get meningitis, the fluid that circulates your brain becomes infected. So 3.5 of the chambers of brain were blocked with this thick gunk, in lieu of a better word. And if they didn't induce me to a coma, I mean, I was going to die anyway. But technically, once they did, they said I was brain dead already, and there was nothing they could do, and they were sorry. They were just sorry to my parents, like.
So they looked at your brain function, and determined that you were a cabbage, like you said they used. That was their adjective that they used. Or really it's a noun, but they use it as a descriptor for you. Now, when they said this, what was it that they were looking at to determine there was no brain function?
I don't know, because my mother just said, well, they just told my mum and dad, and my dad obviously broke down and cried. My mum was quite like me, personality-wise, and they just said that she's never going to wake up, she's a cabbage. So I don't know what they were looking at, because I wasn't there, I don't know, but I presume, because I'd had brain surgery at that point, I had to have something called a shunting to drain off the fluid from the meningitis. Yeah, I've got a big dent in my skull here, my shunt was in. And after that happened, they said it was unsalvageable. I was unsalvageable, like that was it. So. And
then, so a week later, did they wake you from the coma, or did you naturally wake up?
I woke up, yeah.
They didn't think you were going to wake up. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah.
They thought that was going to be the end of your life. That's huge. Pause real quick. You know, because it's so easy, and it's not even trying to just criticize these doctors. It's so easy, though, to think that we know everything and we know it all, and that there was no other possible future that could be for you. And you just naturally refuted their belief. You woke up.
Yeah.
So you wake up. Do you remember that time?
Well, I remember waking up and thinking, oh, I'm really thin. Because I remember looking down at my legs thinking, oh, I'm really very thin, aren't I? And thinking I was born in 1933. But beyond that.
A good year.
Yeah, and I remember I woke up because they'd shaved, so I had waist-length blonde hair, and to put the shunt in, they'd shaved half my head, and they'd left the other side waist-length blonde hair for some unknown reason. So I woke up with this kind of weird hairdo that I remember that, yeah, that was strange. And then everyone was looking at me, like, in disbelief. I remember all the faces around me. But I just woke up and I was quite happy, really. I was just sort of like,
you don't have any memory of that week. It's like it didn't happen.
No, I don't remember that.
That's interesting. And so then you wake up and you're told some other really pointed information. What do the doctors tell you?
Well, they didn't actually tell me. They said this over my head. They said, well, she'll never walk again. They didn't
so you're there. You're there.
Yeah.
Laying down.
I'm there.
And they're just talking. Just conversation.
Yeah. Just over my head, yeah.
And what they're saying is she'll never walk again. Okay. We said she was a cabbage. Okay. So she's alive, but don't have a lot of expectations. Okay. Are they having limited, are they still thinking that there should be limited expectations of what they should see with regards to your intellect as well?
I don't know actually at this point. They were made because I had all these tests done afterwards. I think so, yeah, because I had all these tests done to assess my intellect past the brain surgery and things.
And what did the test show?
I had superior intellect, so I don't know what I was like beforehand, but
I love it. And what I also love, so they tell you over you, which is, yeah. I'm so sorry that you had that experience. That's disrespectful on so many levels. One, ignoring your existence, like not even acknowledging your humanity right there. And two, sharing a piece of information that is pretty heavy and hard. You know what I mean? And even if it were true, it's information. I've never been a doctor, but it's certainly information that I would be wrestling with how to share this. Even if my medical knowledge told me this is a sure thing for this person, I cannot imagine what kind of acrobatics I would have to go through in my head to relay that to you, right?
Yeah. Well, we're taught in medical school to deliver information like that in a very sensitive way. You are supposed to be taught how to do that. But the consultants.
How would you tell somebody that?
Well, I'd assess the situation first, but I'd be like, I'm really sorry. I'd sit down with if it was a child or the parents, and you'd ask them how they are, what they think is happening, what they think is going on. First of all, you'd assess their understanding of the situation, and then you'd say, I'm really sorry to have to tell you this, but it is very unlikely you are ever going to be able to walk again. But that doesn't mean there's nothing we can do, because there are things you can do. And then you'd let that sit with them and process it. You wouldn't just like throw it sort of like that happened to me. You just wouldn't. The whole thing was ridiculous, really. The
main distinction between what you just said and what I'm hearing you say the doctor shared with your mother or your parents is you wanted hope to still be there.
Yeah.
You didn't want to rob the person of hope. If I'm telling you information that is absolutely, I think, unnerving, shouldn't I ensure that I don't remove all hope? I don't destroy hope while I'm telling you that information too? Because hope is not owned by any of us. So why do I need to remove it from you? It's not a bad thing if you have it.
No, exactly.
So, okay. So now let's go from this point. They don't think you'll ever walk. They thought you were brain dead. You had to take tests. Your tests show that you are intellectually superior. At this point, you're still in high school, right?
Well, I had to leave at that. Yeah, I was at high school.
My point is you hadn't matriculated into college.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So then you say in your bio, I started taking these like online courses. Right?
Yeah. So I did something in the UK called Open University, which is like a distance. But I was in hospital for a good 6 months.
Okay. I can't hear you. Okay, we couldn't hear you.
I was still in a wheelchair when I left hospital. So essentially, because I'm quite an active person, as you probably know, and I was in a wheelchair, I got bored very easily. Yeah. So I decided to take this distance degree course called the Open University. I don't know if you have something like that in America. You can do an online sort of degree. You don't have to have finished high school to do it. You can be assessed so you get credits.
So you technically never finished high school?
No, I've never finished high school. I've no high school leaving qualifications at all. None at all.
I love it. I love it. Girl, I love your story. At what point do you go, I want to walk and I can walk. I'm going to make myself learn how to walk.
Well, I just remember one day I was sat in the wheelchair and I was looking at my friend and I just stood up. I don't think it never occurred to me that I wouldn't walk. Never occurred to me. I just thought they were idiots. I just thought, well, that's a strange thing to say because obviously I will be walking. So it never occurred to me that I wouldn't walk, ever. Mm-hmm. But I was paralysed and waist down, which means you have incontinence issues. It's not just the same as just walking. You're paralysed. I couldn't feel anything. I used to have to like lift my legs to move and shuffle around on my butt essentially, and that was fine. I did that a lot, but I did start to get feeling back in my legs, and I can't remember the day I stood up. But I didn't ever get a thought, oh, I'm going to walk, because it never occurred to me that I wouldn't.
I get it. What you're saying is you heard them, but it was just idiotic to you. So you never took it in as, how do you do that? Because one thing that struck me when I was reading your bio is that you had heard so many definitive, clearly articulated limitations that were placed over you. How did you just naturally hear it and not let it glom onto you and become your reality? How did you do that, Bex?
I had a very good mother, very strong mother.
Tell me about your mom.
Woman. Well, she was from a coal mining village, and she loved her children very, very dearly. Very fierce, force of woman, and she would never let anything stop her. She would always keep going. She had a lot of health problems, but she kept going. She had a very high tolerance for pain and worked very hard. My dad also worked very hard, and I think I was always brought up to believe I could do anything I wanted to do.
You had some great parents. So you had a great support system in your mom and dad.
I did. Unfortunately, my mum was an alcoholic as well. So when she wasn't, she had a lot of, that's how she coped, essentially.
Yeah.
She coped like that. So when I got meningitis, she coped a lot with the drinking, but she was still a lovely person that loved me dearly, and was tough. So
isn't it interesting when you're able to look back? I love getting older because now you're able to look at your mother with a lot of grace. You're like, look, she was an alcoholic, but that's how she coped. She had a hard life. And also keep in mind, that was at the time period where no one was going to counseling and learning tools, how to navigate life well. We're not born with these tools. We're born with the innate desire to survive, to live, but we're not born with tools on how to do that well. No. And so why would your mother know anything better than to use alcohol as her coping mechanism? And the truth is, she probably didn't even know that's what she was doing. You know what I mean? Typically when we self-medicate, we don't go, I am self-medicating. All we know is we want to feel better.
I know, yeah, no, she probably didn't. And it was only in my 30s that I forgave her for all of it, because then that's one good thing about getting, because I was angry with her for a long time for it. But I'm older now, so I do appreciate that's why she did it. But yeah, she did the best she could. She did a very good job. She brought up a very tough young woman. But I mean, no, none of us are saints. I have plenty of my own flaws.
Me too. So how long from the time that you woke up from a coma to you actually getting up out of your wheelchair and going, I'm gonna take a walk, I'm gonna do this?
It was within a year. I can't remember exactly, but it was within a year. But it was really hard because I have permanent disability now. Like, I think to walk, I can't feel my feet. Everyone finds this bizarre for me to say this, but I have to think to walk. So I trip up, like when I'm running. I've started wearing a brace now, running, because I don't care. But it took me 20 years for the NHS to give me a bloody brace. 20 years. Why did it
take them 20 years to give you a brace?
They didn't give me any follow-up care when I left. Nothing at all. They just pushed me out in the wheelchair and said, well, you should be grateful you're alive. Get on with it. And that's all they did. They gave me no physio. They gave me nothing at all. So I had to fight for it all.
Oh my gosh.
It was appalling.
How'd you know to fight for it?
Never occurred to me not to fight. I've had to fight for everything. That's just who I am. And I'll fight for everyone else too. I'm very much I hate injustice, so I will fight all the time. All the time.
At what point so now it's within a year, you walk, start, and you're saying it's very hard. And to this day, you still have numbness in your feet, and it's still something you have to consciously think about. It's not like that. What is it? You know, how we don't think to breathe. Yeah. It's just something that our bodies do. And oftentimes those of us who are, able body, we don't think to walk. It's just something we do. So now the deficiency you have is that your legs, you don't feel them. You still don't have great feeling in them, but you know how to walk, and you've trained yourself how to do it despite not feeling them beneath you. What a strange sensation that must be.
Yeah, but it's been that way for 20 years, so I don't know what it's like not to. I've had more of a life after the meningitis now than before. So
True. Oh my God, that's true. Yeah. So Bex, at what point do you go, okay, I want to run?
I don't remember actually when I did. I only took up proper running about 3 years ago, but I had been a county runner before the meningitis. I had used to run for my county. I did like 5-minute miles and things. Very good runner.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I used to. I don't do that now.
Never.
But I used to.
Like, never. I don't even have a glory day where I could be like, back in the day when I used to do a 5-minute mile. It never existed. It never did. Like, I'm proud. I feel like a gazelle if I've done like an 8-minute, 20-second. I'm like,
well, that's good for me now. Yeah.
Do you see what this is? Otherwise, I'm living in the 10, 11 world.
That's what I live in now, and I'm
Yeah.
happy with that.
Me too.
Happy with that.
I'm happy with it too. So I know you only took it up about 3 years ago. So what made you take it up?
Oh, well, I was always into sport, but unfortunately after the meningitis and before a bit, I had severe eating disorders. Another thing I've cured myself of. 17 years of severe anorexia and bulimia. So all of my teeth are fake because of stomach acid. And I weighed 37 kilos when I was 20.
What is 37 kilos? Isn't that about 80 pounds?
Less than, it's 77 pounds or something, or something like, yeah, it was in the 70s. I was in the 70s. I was very, 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 and I got told I would never recover from that as well, which I just find hilarious. But
what do you think that was attached to? Because we know anorexia is a disease. What do we think that was attached to? Do we think it was attached to the meningitis time?
Well, it predated meningitis. I developed it when I was 11 or 12. And then when I woke up from the coma,
did you just feel fat?
Yeah, I think my mum's drinking contributed, and I was in a very high pressure school, and I was always quite an anxious child, I suppose, and I just sort of stopped eating really, and yeah, and then that lasted until I started medical school at 28. But I first recovered from it when I was 26, and I used to have spells of not being sick, but properly at 28.
What do you mean spells of not being sick?
So I was making myself sick on a daily basis for like decades really, but then I had to have
what did the sickness look like? Those of us who are not anorexic, we don't necessarily know when you say I was sick. What did that look like?
I'd eat mammoth amounts of food and then just bend over and be sick. I didn't need to do anything because I'd done it for so long. I could literally bend over and just vomit, and I pumped my own stomach with water. It was about 10 hours a day I was doing this, and I was still maintaining a degree, and I was still having a job, and I didn't sleep, and I somehow.
And you'd survived meningitis.
Yeah, I survived. I did. No, my mum was always like, she couldn't believe I was killing myself essentially after all that, but that was what I did. Yes. To cope with it, I think that was my way of coping with.
Yeah.
Because I internalize a lot of things. Like, externally, I laugh at everything. I'm quite a happy person, but I think I internalize a lot of things, and my eating disorders were my way of getting some kind of control back.
Yeah, I get that. Did you feel weak in your body to be that small?
I did sometimes wonder if I'd wake up in the morning and wonder how I was actually going to get up out of a chair, because I was very weak.
Yeah. Did you have a boyfriend, a husband? Did you have a loved one?
No, I've never been married. I've been engaged a few times, but unfortunately I tend to attract the narcissists in this world, so that doesn't really go well. I think people like me tend to. But no, I didn't at the time. I just I plowed everything into work. So that's what I did.
Okay. So the reason why I asked is because I'm like, well, if someone was around her, like loving on her, like did your family comment on it, or was it kind of like this thing that everybody knew was your thing and nobody knew what to do with you on it?
Eventually it became like that. It was so obvious that I had an eating disorder, because you can't hide it that way.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that it was just accepted, and people just assumed that I'd be like that forever. Like, even my twin sister, I have an identical twin sister who said she thought I'd never recover. She thought I'd just be like that forever. That was her twin, and she was just going to be like that.
Oh.
So I know. So, but I did recover from that before my mum died. So I was very proud that I managed to. My mum was able to see me well.
You look very healthy, and you look very well now. You do. You look like you have a good normal weight. I don't know what normal is, but I'm just saying you don't appear underweight or overweight. You just appear normal.
Oh, yeah, I am. I don't weigh. I think at the doctor's surgery I get weighed like maybe once a year, and I'm always about 140 pounds or something, which is a good sign. I mean, for my
140. That's a great weight. I would love that. I would love that. I love that right now. I would take that. I remember being in college and being like, if someone told me I weighed 140 pounds, I would have cried and been like, I'm so fat. And now at 46, I'm like, did someone say 140? It's like candy. But what time or when did it occur to you to go to med school? What made you go, I want to go to medical school?
Well, I never thought I'd get into medical school first, so I never thought I'd get into university because I never finished school. So this was the problem. But then I realised with the Open University I did, I could transfer my credits to a degree. So I thought, oh, they'll never accept me, but I thought I'd apply anyway. And along with that, I applied for this scholarship that paid for everything, and only 8 people got this scholarship. So not only did I get into university, I also got this Vice Chancellor of Excellence Award for that as well. And then that took me to Montana, because I lived in the States for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then everyone in Montana that I met, because I got a 4.0, said, you really should apply to medical school because, you know, you're clever, they said I was like the most academic gifted in their class, and they just kept saying, you really need to apply to medical school. So I applied to medical school, again, not thinking I had a hope in hell of getting in. And I got into one of the best medical schools in the country, or in the world. Actually.
In the world, actually,
yeah.
In the world. Tell the school.
So it's Imperial College of Medicine, and it was graduate entry, so it was even more competitive than the undergraduate one. I think the year I applied, it was 50 places for 1,800 applicants.
15 places.
50 places.
50 for 1,800 applicants.
Yeah.
15 or 50 is the same thing. It's like,
yeah, it's quite
throw the spaghetti at the wall, whatever sticks, because it's barely a shot in hell for you. So yeah. I want to understand, where are you digging into, Bex? Like, where are you going to keep going after these pretty phenomenal things? So you've struck me. There's a couple things you've said that I've been like, really? You're like, you know, I didn't think I could get into med school. I didn't think, but all these people are telling me. And I'm like, but at the same time, I asked you, what was the time that you said I'm going to walk? And you're like, it never occurred to me that I wasn't going to walk. Like, you're befuddling to me, because I'm like, it never occurred to you that you were not going to walk. Although the doctors.
I wish I was like, I've lost a bit of it now. I'm trying to get it back. I used to be so fearless. I was like, what are you talking about? I just didn't care. I was like, they're your limits. They're not my limits. You can bugger off, essentially. So I don't really, I just don't care. They were always telling me, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I was like, what a load of rubbish. I was like, you might not be able to do it. I can. So I hate people, so negative. I was like, you definitely won't if you don't even attempt to, will you? You definitely won't. So yeah, that's my mentality, really. And I've got it back a bit this year, but for a few years when I hit 30, because mainly because I started dating narcissists, unfortunately, they kind of like wear you down a bit. And I think because of my nature, I'm quite a strong personality, you attract certain people. And so
do you go to counseling?
I've just started now, actually. But,
no, I'm not asking it trying to infer that there's something wrong with you.
No.
Because I go to counseling too. But what I'm hearing you say is there's a recognition and a pattern of your dating choice. And counseling really helps you. It helps, therapy helps me when you recognize, what is it about me and how I process the world that's attracted to that type of guy? And what is it about me that attracts that type of person to me? You know what I mean? And I think when we go to counseling, we start to unpack who we are, our motivations, our childhood hurts, our traumas. And then we can now understand, like, oh, like, statistically, sex addicts statistically are attracted to very prudish, very righteous, very angled people.
Okay, yeah.
Did you know that?
I did.
Because, so, because you'd think like, why would well, let's break it down. A sex addict's world is all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And all of the stuff that they're usually really deviant in and wanting to look at, they don't want to do with their Madonna wife.
Yeah. Like
Jesus's mother, Madonna.
Yeah.
So people who are often very, very deviant, like sexually, they may have a spouse that is right as could be. Okay, and if that person who is right as can be is not hasn't gone to therapy or doesn't have the skill set, they may not know, like, oh, this guy who is just really like lively and he is like the person who is just like leading the conversation, but he has this thing. They may not know, like, ooh, I'm attracted to that because this rigidity that I live in is not human, because we are not meant to be these rigid beings, right? So that rigidity is wanting to lean towards the bend. The bend wants the rigidity in its life. And so you can see the thing going back and forth. But my point is, therapy teaches you that.
Yeah. Well, I wish I started earlier. Yeah, but I am finally, after the latest. I go on, like, I'm single for 2 years, and then I just think I'll try it again, and it always happens. So I was just like, oh god.
So you told me something. Okay, so you're in med school. I loved it. Like you're flipping in like the Ivy League of medical schools in the world. You're getting all these awards. Medicine is absolutely the thing that's for you. You also are the only person to ever have this joint. Can you tell me? You said it's a neuropsych.
Oh yeah, so in the UK, they don't do dual training in neurology and psychiatry. You have to do it sequentially. But they're making the training path for me, so I will be the first dual trained consultant in neuropsychiatry. So you do have it in the States. There are a few residency programs, but there's not one in the UK at the moment. But the person I work with here in Norwich is making it for me. So that's quite exciting.
That is crazy exciting.
That's very good.
That is very exciting. Now, so are you actively in med school right now, or you're at the very end, or you're in your residency? I don't know.
Yeah, so because I was due to go to America before the COVID, I took the American licensing exams.
Damn it. And scored in the top 80th percentile.
Yeah, 80th percentile, I did, yeah. I know, I did pretty well on that, so I was happy with
yes,
that.
you did.
But in order to get the UK license here, I have to do so many, because when I was at Imperial, this is the other complication, I got viral meningitis at Imperial, and I had multi-organ failure. So I had to interrupt there and transfer. I know I didn't add everything in my life. So I had to.
No, you didn't. Wait.
Right.
was the first meningitis, did that make you more inclined to this meningitis?
No, it's just bad luck. It's just bad luck.
How do you get meningitis? Can you tell me real quick, please?
It's just an infection. It's an infectious disease. You can just, some people have a genetic predisposition to it, but I don't, because then they get it like lots of times in their lives. But viral meningitis is more common, but it's not as severe. But because of the meningitis I had at 17 and I was paralysed from the waist down, I have permanent kidney and bladder failure. I do still now.
What's your kidney function like?
Oh, well, it's better now, but it was crap, because when I had my bladder failed, then the urine essentially refluxed into the kidneys, and I had kidney infections all the time. So they were constantly scarred. They're okay now, but when I started med school originally, my husband has kidney failure. Yeah, it went. Oh, it did. Okay, so it can be reversed if you have. It's not chronic, but
his isn't like.
His isn't reversible.
No, he had a kidney transplant. Yeah, we were told this, and so you're helping me. We were told once you lose kidney function is not something you kind of get back. Once you lose it.
Oh no, you can have transiently decreased function. It depends on the cause of the kidney injury.
He has IgA nephropathy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's that's a progressive. So if you can have acute kidney injury, which is what I had essentially because of the constant reflux. IgA nephropathy tends to be progressive.
Yeah, it does. So like I think his kidney is like I don't know, under 5%. What are you at, Matt? 2%, 1%, 0? Yeah, somewhere between 1 and 5%. So he goes to dialysis 3 times a week. Yeah. So kidney function is legit. Like I learned so much about it. When your kidneys are not acting right, your whole body is off. Like there's so much that isn't right.
You just feel like crap as well. Like, and they said if I had one more kidney infection, I'd be on dialysis as well. So if I have one more kidney infection, that hangs over my head.
So this is when you are towards the end of med school that this is happening.
This is like middle of med school. So this is when I was like 30. So I started med school at 28 and it's about 30. So I had to, because every time I took time out to have an operation or a procedure, they said at Imperial, I had to resit the year, even though I hadn't failed anything. So I just eventually just said, well, this is ridiculous because I'll be 50 by the time I finish. So what I did was I took all the exams, because I passed everything. I took all of my credits and transferred to an international school so I could take the American exams, because I always missed living in Montana. My aim was always to return to Montana.
Montana.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
Listen, I've never been, and there's this
beautiful.
show that we're watching right now called Big Sky, and it's supposed to take
Big Sky.
It's supposed to take place in Montana, and every time they do those aerial shots, I'm like, I want to go there, Montana.
It was the first place I felt like I was at home. I loved it, and I still have friends now that are going to be watching this as well. They're like, it was just lovely. So I basically didn't finish at Imperial, but I left in good standing, transferred my credit to another school, and that's why now, because my school's not in England, I have to now do so many weeks here to get a UK license, and then I'll get the UK. It's just sort of, I'm sure it's money making essentially, but. That's it, because the UK exams are a lot easier than the USMLE American exams. There are no 9-hour exams in the UK. You have like a 2-hour exam or a 3-hour exam, whereas the US ones are an 8-hour preclinical, 9-hour clinical, 2-day, like it's horrendous.
Guess who wouldn't be a doctor? Guess who isn't a doctor?
It's like a marathon. I remember the 9 hours that I sat there losing the will to live every hour, just thinking in a mask. You had to wear a mask in the exam center, and I was like, oh.
I can't, Jesus, I can't. Can I take mine outside? It's freezing cold out. I don't care. Like,
yeah, I would have done if I could, but no. So here I am a doctor, but I'm essentially just following around, learning the tools of the trade, because they're sort of setting this up for me. But you've got the best in the world here. People are doing stuff, and I'm doing some stuff for the World Health Organization. You've got like some of the leading minds in the world here, so I'm learning a lot. Yeah. And also on research and things.
When do you hope to go back to Montana in maybe a year?
Yeah, see, I don't know, because I've been offered all these options here to stay here. I don't know. My life path changes every year. I have no clue what I'm doing ever. This is why I'm never very fixed. I always think I'll say yes to things, because I don't have a significant other. I don't have any children. Mm-hmm. So technically, I can do what I want. Really,
you can.
And I do what I want.
Last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, on our Facebook group page, or maybe it was on your personal page, you said, you know, excuse me for having this breakdown, this time, and you all probably thought I lost my mind. And that's when I reached out to you, because I was like, what are you talking about? Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
So I don't know if you actually know this. I was on a date, and the person came round here, and I was sexually assaulted in my home. And my lounge,
in your home?
In my home. I just moved here, and
I'm sorry, Bex. Hold on.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that happened. In that space that you're sitting in right now?
Yes. But it's been revamped now. I put up loads of wall hangings, and it's all been cleaned, and it's all. My dad came to help me, but yes, it was a bit of a unpleasant.
I'm so sorry, and if this is harsh, you let me know, because my intention is not to be harsh. It's just, I have noticed that we use euphemisms and we say things like assaulted because it sounds better. Yeah. But what you're saying is that you were raped. Yeah. And so I'm sorry if that sounds harsh. I'm not trying to be harsh to you. I'm just trying to make sure that people hear the harshness of what was done to you. It's like oftentimes when we say children were molested, they were raped. Yeah. These children are being raped.
Yeah, I think I don't use the word rape more for other people's sensibility, because they look so shocked when you use the word.
Right. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to make it easy for me to hear. You don't. That's not your job. Your job is not to make your pain easy for me to digest. Yeah. Your job is to tell your truth, knowing that your truth can bring effectuated truth to my life and hope to my life. So if there's anything that I can say to you, I don't know if I can properly convey this to you, but please don't do that. Don't worry about my sensibilities when you are the one who actually endured this harshness. And when people are interfacing with you on this, I want us to really understand what went down. This young lady was raped in her home. That's horrible. I don't even know if I could sleep there.
I know. Well, I was tempted to leave, but one of my best friends lives across the road from me. I think he just banged on the window earlier. I don't know, because he pops by all the time now, but he was like begging me not to leave. And I'm not someone that runs away from things. And actually now it's all been, I've changed everything around, and I feel all right. And I'm guessing.
Was he arrested?
No, I haven't pressed charges because the last time similar happened a few years ago. And
Wait.
I ended up getting a formal apology from the police because they ended up blaming me, and I can't put myself through it again. So
wait a minute.
Yeah, it's not.
I need you to stop, Bex, Dr. Bex.
I know, it sounds terrible, doesn't it? But
no. Are you telling me you were raped before that?
Yeah, a few years ago. Yeah. But that was within a relationship. So
I don't care. It's, it's like women who are raped by their husbands. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care that you know the person. I think it's even worse.
Yeah, that was pretty horrific. I mean, and there was lots of evidence, but less than 1% of rape cases get convictions, and you go through all of it, and the police are terrible in the UK. They victim blame all the time.
Yeah, why did you have on that short skirt? Now, how much did you drink?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I I've been seeing a lot lately. I tell you what I'm so grateful for. I'm grateful for that our reflection in this day seems to be, at least we are looking back at the ways that we've done things over and over in the past. And we're more reflective. Like, why do we do that? Like, why did we ask women how much they had to drink, why they wore that, why they wore that short skirt? Did they not realize that those heels made their butt stick out, and they're like ridiculous things. And as of late, I've been seeing a lot of stuff online, like, why aren't we raising our boys not to be somebody who rapes?
Well, I know. I'm very much thinking of getting into activism because I hear even the doctors, the people I went to Imperial with, when I went to do the first meet and greet with them, they looked at some women wearing some short skirts and they go, well, and then they'll complain later if something happens. That was the future doctors. Future doctors.
It's painful. It's like, this is how I equate it. Guess what, Bex? I have a lot of flaws, but I don't steal. Stealing is not like something that I struggle with. I don't go like, oh, I just wish I did. I don't want to steal that, but I'm feeling inclined to. So my point is, if you left your purse wide open in my home or out in public, and you had $100 bills just sticking out, or 100 pounds just sticking out, it wouldn't occur to me to steal your money.
To me either, no.
Because I'm raised that I don't steal money. So the fact that the money is easily had is not the point. The point is, am I someone who steals money? So that's the same thing with the short skirt is irrelevant. What becomes more relevant is, am I a young man who thinks that I should put my penis in a vagina that didn't invite me?
That's true. I know, because even if I walked around naked, I do say to people, you have no right. You can arrest me for indecent exposure if you want to, but you have no right to lay a hand on me.
None. It'd be like me stealing your money and going, I mean, if you didn't leave your money there, people wouldn't steal it. And then just and looking to you as the person who is irresponsible with their money, and not looking to me as a thief.
Yeah, I know.
And here's the thing. The two are not mutually exclusive. The two are not mutually. I could be irresponsible with my money, but I can also have this person over here who is a thief.
Yeah, I know.
So I might be irresponsible with my body. I might be.
Yeah.
That's not what's on the table. What's on the table are you going to do something that's violent and irresponsible to me?
Yeah.
And I want to hope that we're raising human beings that don't want to be that way. So you're saying the first time the police accused you?
They said, I was I manipulated the situation, and I eventually got them retrained because it became very obvious eventually that I had done nothing wrong and the person was at fault. But by this point, I was just so drained by the whole thing. So I did get a formal apology, but that doesn't really undo the
hurt.
About a year, and it was just horrendous.
So on the second rape, you didn't press charges?
No, because I don't think anything will happen. So because only less than 1% are convicted in this country, and that's even with evidence and everything. And they'll just say, well, you let him in, and that's how it goes. So I just can't be bothered, and I told them that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. What Have you seen this person again since?
No.
Thank God.
I've taken up some mixed martial arts. So
Ooh.
if I do ever meet them again, yeah, I can.
That mixed martial arts is no joke. That's like murder in a can.
I know, so I will give them a smack them in the face essentially. But yeah, I don't want it to make me. I've always said this. I did lose my mind because I essentially had this reaction where I dissociated, which was a trauma reaction, and I thought I was my sister. It was so scary, and I woke up lucid again on the Sunday evening, not knowing, having any memory of the days afterwards, looking at my phone, all this stuff I sent, thinking I was someone else, and it was just. That has never happened to me before, but it was obviously, well, I know what it is. It's a trauma reaction.
It is.
But that's what made me go and find a therapist. I thought, well, I can't just pretend that I'm fine like I always do. I need to go and address this.
And at first, you thought it was an indication of how strong you were, right?
Yeah.
That you could just keep doing these things, and you're
like,
it's not a product of strength. It's a product of disassociation. I'm trying to survive. I'm in survival mode here.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell people, I said, you all think it's wonderful that something goes wrong and I go for a 10-mile run or I take up another degree or whatever. I said, it's not normal to do that. I'm very well aware you all think I'm wonderful, but that's still not normal. That is ridiculous. You need to address it. So I'm finally addressing it because I can't really be a good doctor to my patients if I am just pretending I'm fine.
Especially neuropsychopath, both. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
people are going to be talking to you at some point too.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm not a fraudulent person. Everyone that knows me knows I'm very honest and blunt. Yeah. I'm very blunt. I'm very candid. And I can't pretend to be someone I'm not. I never have done. So, I didn't pretend. I thought I was someone else. That was why it's really weird to me, this dissociation thing. But
when you looked at your writings, you actually thought you were someone else writing these texts. Yeah, who did you think you were?
My sister.
You thought you were your sister?
Yeah. I thought it was my twin sister.
How was that evident in your writing?
Because I was telling people, as my twin sister, that I had died. I said to my sister, like, Dr. Reggie was dead, so she's died. I gave my name away there, but she's gone.
What?
Doing that.
And you don't recall writing that?
I don't remember any of that. No.
Oh my God!
So then I deleted it. So I found it so distressing reading it back. I deleted it all, but then people obviously got in touch with me, thinking, what the hell? Like, but then I explained to them. I was really unwell because I felt like.
How long ago was this?
Suicidal. This was just over 3 weeks ago. They put me into hospital with a very high temperature as well, which I don't know what that might have been, a bladder infection after what happened, so that would be reasonable. But
because the rape just happened
3 weeks ago to Thursday. Yeah, it's very, very new.
Very fresh. I'm so sorry. And I almost feel like a jackass for even asking you about it. I don't think I realized it was that soon.
Right.
I want to hold you. I'm sorry, Dr. Bex. That's horrible.
That's so, well, I know.
It probably makes you not trust your own judgment.
Well, it doesn't really. I think, now I'm really super wary because I'm just like, I keep attracting, like you say, for some reason, I'm attracting these abusive people, essentially, because I'm very trusting and very kind. I'm known to be very kind, and I take people on face value because I'm very honest. I assume everyone else is, but they're not. So it's difficult for me.
And therapy is going to help you recognize them before you let them in here. That's what therapy is going to help you do. It's nothing wrong with being a trusting person. So am I. And there's nothing wrong with anticipating and expecting people to have a similar outlook on life like you are. I think it bodes well for us to think positively of people, but it is something wrong. I almost don't even want to say wrong. There's something that can be hurtful, that can allow you to be hurt if you don't recognize people for who they are and also recognize patterns. So what therapy is going to teach you is, mark my words, you're going to be able to see that narcissist now. A mile away, you're going to be like, oh, it's kind of like that woman who's been in abusive relationships all her life. And she finally has just left jail. And she goes to the local bar just to have a drink one night because she is tired. And there's only one guy in that whole bar who beats women. That one guy is he's gonna key in on her, and she unwittingly is also gonna key in on him. There's a reason. I think that there's also an energy about it. I know it sounds maybe hokey, but I think even beyond the constructs that we live in and our patterns of poor behavior, of hurtful behavior, I think there also exists an energy about it. And so there's an energy about it that I think attracts, like energy attracts like energy. That's science, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And opposite energy, it repels, you know what I mean? So like if you're not on the same energetic wave, you won't exist in the same space. It's kind of like, you know what analogy that I often like to think of? It just like escaped my mind, but it's interesting. Years ago, can I tell you this story? Years ago when I was in law school, there was this baseball player who was very famous. His name was Darryl Strawberry. He was a big baseball player in the US, and he was really talented, but he had these demons. And his demons was he had strong drug addictions. I'm in St. Louis in law school. I think I'm in my 1L or 2L year. And St. Louis is playing, the St. Louis Cardinals are playing whatever team he was on. I can't even remember. I feel like it was like Chicago or something. And he flies in, their team flies in that night. And before the game, the next day, like early afternoon between the Cardinals and his team, it's in the newspaper that Darryl Strawberry was arrested at a hotel with prostitutes, like at like a seedy hotel with prostitutes and a whole bunch of drug paraphernalia. Now, this is the interesting thing. I had lived there 2 years at that point. If you came to me and said, Shay, I need to score some drugs, do you know I truly wouldn't even know where to go? I'd be like, Walgreens, CVS, like I don't even know where you go. So I find it very interesting that a man who did not even live in the same town, the moment he got in, he was able to navigate and find those people.
Yeah.
Find those people. I think that's an energy thing.
Yeah.
And I think
right.
that energy shift you're going to get when you go to therapy. As you go to therapy, you're going to start recognizing it, and you're going to start recognizing those spaces in you, and you're going to be able to shift that energy. So now that person, he doesn't even see you, Bex. He doesn't even see you, and you don't see him anymore.
Well, I hope, because I have to do something. So I'm hoping my therapist is a former Catholic priest, Irish Catholic priest, which I think is fun.
I think it's awesome. I'm liking your therapist already. So now, Bex, you going back to your kind of climb out.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord Jesus. So you're now in therapy. Thank God. You ran a 24-mile run.
I did, yeah. When I took up running, I was training for a marathon, but so I ran 24 miles as a pre-marathon race, and then I got pneumonia, but I didn't acknowledge that I had pneumonia, so I ran a marathon 16 miles before they pulled me off, because I have a very high pain threshold, and I just sort of ignore it. This is another problem I have, so I ran 16 miles of a marathon with pneumonia.
And how bad do you have to look for them to pull you off the course?
Yeah, oh shit, oh yeah, I was really quite unwell, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they don't pull you off the course just for, you could be tired, you could be slow poking. Yeah, no. They don't pull you off the course. You must have looked like, for them to pull you off the course. Yeah. But you're training right now for
half Ironman. I wanted to do it before lockdown, but I've lapsed a bit now, but I'm building up to, because I'd love to do an Ironman, but the amount of training you have to do for an Ironman is, the hours on the bike is just,
it's
I don't
massive.
Get sleep anyway. So I want to do a half one first.
I think I want to do one too. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm scared I can't.
Yeah. Well, don't think like that. Well, you definitely can't if you don't try.
Right.
You definitely can't.
Right.
But if you can do anything. Anyone can do anything, I think. I don't believe, like, I used to have this thing like fear of failure, so I wouldn't take an exam because I was afraid of failing. Well, then I definitely failed if I didn't take it, didn't I? Definitely. So I've ignored that now. And I just turn up. You have to turn up in life. It's like I'm scared. I could be scared of all men now for what happened to me, but I have some great friends that are men, and my boss is lovely. He's a man. I refuse to live my life in fear of anything. Fear of failure, fear of people. Why? That's a horrible way to live.
It is. Where is it that you go to get your encouragement to put one foot in front of the other?
know, myself. Probably. I don't really know anyone else like me, so I look for inspirational people. I do I like look at your posts on running, so I look at anyone that's anything positive. I don't like negative people. I know some people, you get negative sometimes, but if you're permanently a negative person, it's very difficult because you're not helping yourself, because you've got the victim mentality, and you can't help someone with a victim mentality. They have to get out of that mindset. Because life happens for you, not to you. Like, I could think, oh, poor me, I've got a lot of disability still. You wouldn't know to look at me, but I do. And I could, if I thought like that, I'd still be in a wheelchair. Yeah. So it is, you're given a hand of cards in life, and it's up to you to play them. It's not your fault you've got them, but it's your responsibility to play the best them well. You can out of them. Yeah. That is your responsibility. And I don't understand people blaming everyone all the time, and because it's no one's fault, really. Like, once you're an adult as well, like, everyone has difficult childhoods, and, you know, some people have really terrible childhood, but once you're an adult, yeah, that's really sad. It's up to you to fix it now. It's up to you to do what you can. So my sister always thinks that I don't have great bedside manner, but actually I got another recommendation or something in a mini award in my last place on bedside manner. So that's incorrect, because I don't mollycoddle. I won't say mollycoddle. I'm going to use that from now on. I'm going to use it. Mollycoddling. Yeah, she said to me once, you should mollycoddle me. I said, no, that's enabling. I'm not going to enable you. No. I'm not going to mollycoddle you. Yeah, mollycoddle you. You're not a child, are you? No. So I won't do that. I will try and empower people to help themselves. And I don't have many female friends, because I think for some reason women don't like me very much. I don't know why, but I like you. Oh, well, thank you. I'm not very passive aggressive or at all. Like, you know, some women are like that. And I think strong women build each other up. They don't tear you down to make themselves feel better, which is what a lot of women And I think I was thinking truthfully. I was like, why would women not like you? Well, you know, I think we as women are primed to like people who we can really quickly ascertain like us. Yeah. Right? And you're not someone who emotes a lot. Yeah. Right? I told that. Yeah. So if you're not someone who emotes, I'm just trying to think. I mean, I like you, but I'm trying to think, why would that be her experience? You're not someone who emotes a lot. So I can see women not knowing where they stood with you upon meeting you. And because they don't know where they stand with you, because we as women were trained to make sure everybody's happy and that we like them. Kind of like how you wanted to not use the word rape because you wanted to think about my sensibilities and not your sensibilities. You being a woman taught you that shit. Yeah, this is true. Yeah. That's what taught you that. So now you are, so I think we as women, right, we want to be liked. And if you're not emoting a lot to us and we don't know where we stand, we can almost be like, who is this girl? Yeah. Because you're not bending over to make sure you're likable. Yeah, that's true. And I don't like subscribe to the fake, like. But then guys don't have that. Yeah, I mean, if you ask me my opinion, I will give you my opinion. I won't give you one that will please you, because then why would you bother asking me? To me, that makes no sense at all. But this is the problem I found. So the female friends I have are very strong women as well, and I love them to bits. But and they love me for me, not because I tell them what they want to hear. I'll tell them the truth. So, do you believe in God, Bex? So I was brought up Roman Catholic, and I do too. But I'm a pagan, so I have been pagan for decades. So so you know, pagan's an umbrella term for lots of things like Wiccan, Druidry, and everything. So I haven't decided which, because I changed which I thought, but actually which ones I subscribe to. But pagan essentially means you believe in the god and the goddess, and you subscribe to the seasons and things like that. Mm-hmm. But originally, pagan just meant not godly, Christian. Yeah, not Christian. Yeah. That's why I asked you, what did you mean by that? Because I knew that's not what you were saying. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But so I say spiritual. I do believe in that there is something there, but I like believing in the goddess rather than just because I was brought up in the Roman Catholic, which is quite a hateful religion. Mm-hmm. It's the only religion that's really like, you're going to hell, you know, hell and damnation, all that jazz.
I mean,
yeah,
period.
it's not a nice religion, is it?
It definitely
really?
has a lot of hell in it.
Yeah, exactly. And so if I'm told I'm going to hell, I'm like, well, I don't believe in hell, so you enjoy it there, but I won't be joining you.
Do you ever feel like you need to dig into something that's bigger than you, though? Because when I asked you, I was like, where do you go to get this encouragement? You said, I think inside myself. But do you ever come to a limitation of who you are?
Yeah.
And then where do you go when you hit that wall? Because for me, I asked the question, but it's almost as if I asked the question from a Socratic method, because I understood there had to be, yes, I come to an end of myself, which is evident in you sending messages thinking you were somebody else. You came to an end of yourself. No, that's what it is. You came to an end of yourself, and yourself bifurcated and created another self so that you could be sustained, which is brilliant. It's just amazing how we're created. So where do you go when you come to an end of yourself, Bex?
Honestly, I go for a run, and then I go outside and I go and walk in nature, or I go to my mum's grave and I try and, I don't know, that's usually what I do, and then I come back and I feel myself again.
Better. But, I think that's your spiritual practice, because all of those things that you just said, those are things that help you feel connected to that which is greater than you.
Yeah.
When you run 10 miles and you're exhausted, you and I both know you are digging into something deeper and bigger than just your legs and your lungs and your heart. And you feel that in that moment. You may not have a prescribed religion that you understand that that's what you're pulling from. But when you're going out into nature, there's a scripture in Romans that says that from the beginning of time, man should know that I exist. If you just look at the trees, I think we get all complicated and we're like, God this, God that. Go out in nature, look at the tree. Look at that tree creating those limbs. Look at that tree creating those, branches and those leaves and the fruit and the berries and the flowers. That's miraculous.
I know, but I do believe in something, because I'm a walking miracle, and I was read the last rites. I know that before when I was supposedly going to die again. But I mean, so I do believe in something, because apparently everyone was praying for me. They got the whole churches and everything praying for me. So I do believe in something. But when I woke up from the coma, the nurse I had told me it was God's way of punishing me being paralysed. I remember that very well. She was called Bernadette. She was from the Caribbean. I don't know where in the Caribbean, but she told me that I was being punished.
Okay, can I just apologize right now on behalf of all Black Caribbean people? I'm sorry, Bernadette told you that.
I just thought she was an idiot. And honestly,
I'm not even sure what her logic was on that one.
I don't know. I have no clue what she was thinking.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing. It's not funny.
It was so comically ridiculous. I was like, I'm 17. I was still a virgin. I didn't drink. I didn't do anything. So, yeah, no, exactly. I was just like, what am I supposed to have done to warrant this?
I'm not sure. My mom used to always say, Shay, baby, don't hold God's people against him. Because she's like, if you look at people, it's that people are bona fide. Like, they are just like, you have a problem, lady. Like, this lady this young girl has just woken up from a coma. And that's under your beating heart to share with this girl who's come back to life from the dead, who's had her Lazarus moment. And this is what you want to share with her? Something's wrong with you, Bernadette. You know what I mean?
I know. Well, lucky she didn't stay there very long. She got sent to the psych unit, and I thought, those poor patients.
Okay.
Oh, well.
So my point is, I think that you do dig into something deeply spiritual, and your spiritual practice is a part of your running. Your spiritual practice is a part of you going outside to be in nature. Your spiritual practice is a part of you going to visit your mother's grave. All of those things hearken to something bigger and mysterious, bigger than you and unknown fully by you. And that's a big, beautiful thing. And I think we all should go there, because we come to a limit of ourselves. Question. I know I've taken a lot of your time. I know it's late up there. I just want to ask a few questions in ending. Dr. Bex, if there's one thing you'd want people to take away from our conversation today, what would you want them to take away?
I don't know. Well, I generally think, like, the only limits you have in life are the ones you put on yourself. Mm-hmm. So you can do anything you want to in life. literally anything you want to. And if someone's telling you they can't, you can't, that's their stuff. It's not your stuff.
It's not yours.
You just thank them for their opinion and walk away and go and do it anyway.
Yeah. Good. I like that. It takes effort to do that, though. It takes effort because you got to repel people's words. And I sometimes when I'm running, I feel myself just like trying to take off everything that people have said about me that I don't agree with, you know?
Yeah, and I guess
go ahead.
The one thing is, I'd say, if someone tells you can't do something, you should always say what I say to them. Is like you saying I can't or I can't try. And
I love that.
As long as you try, you will never fail, because you only fail when you stop trying, and that's it. If you don't succeed, you haven't failed. You keep trying.
I had a lady tell me this one time. It's like those hurtful moments when you're bold enough to be vulnerable and share. So it was like 2002, and I'm in Korea and I'm staying with this Korean family. I since learned all of the different many kind of Korean cultural things I was bucking up against that I was unaware. I was just like being young and single and shay, and in many respects, I brought shame to this woman, and I didn't know I was bringing shame to her because I was a single girl living in her house with her. You know, her husband had invited me. But anyway, I didn't realize that now, even if the husband invites you, you say politely, no, because the wife is going to be like, this bitch needs to get her ass up out of here. So it's true. And I was sharing with her. She asked me, well, something like, what do you want to do or something? And I was like, I want to be a writer. That's what I want to be. I want to write. I want to be a speaker. And she started laughing at me.
Wow.
Like out loud, just how kind of crazy Bernadette says something. You're like, why would make another human being say that to another human being?
Yeah.
She started laughing at me, and it took me a minute. I mean, like, oh my God, like belly laugh. And I was like, I didn't know what was happening. So I sat there for a minute, and and then I was like, so this is about me. And she's like, oh my gosh. She goes, oh, my niece works for the New York Times, and she wants to be a writer, and something that she's working very hard on. It's a hard, she goes, and you're a novice. You have no abilities or expertise, and you want to be a writer? It's never happening. She told me that. Now I want to be truthful and say, I would love to tell you that didn't affect me. I would love to say that who gives a shit about her words? Her words are not limiting to what I actually can do. But that really did hurt me.
Yeah, you're a human being.
Mm-hmm. And it took me a while to disassociate from her words and not feel like the loser that her words were telling me I was. Even though I didn't want to believe her to be true, I couldn't shut up the laughter every time I put pen to paper.
But I mean, I'm not impervious. What I am now, I had the negative doubts when they told me I would never get to, I shouldn't go because I wouldn't cope, and that. When I was even applying, I constantly had the doubts in my head. So I'm human as well. But so I don't want people to think that I never felt those doubts. I did. I mean, I had anorexia for decades, so that will be showing me I do. But don't let the doubts and the negative thoughts stop you
from trying.
Keep going. Keep trying, because
Amen.
you know what, like. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling it and doing it anyway. That's just what bravery is. It
sure is. You're very brave, Bex. I have a few questions in the spirit of James Lipton as I let you go, because I know it's late and you're being gracious.
That's fine.
What sound or noise do you like to hear? What sound or noise do you love?
I love running in trees with the wind. And when it's snowing as well and there's wind, I love the snow and the wind. Blowing. It
feels very free. It's a sound that sounds very freeing, I should say.
Yeah.
Sounds alive and freeing. What sound or noise don't you love?
People crying, I think. I don't. People in pain. Not crying for everybody, but if they're in agony and pain, or I just don't. Well, I won't run away from it. I'll try and. But it upsets me greatly.
Well,
if people are in distress.
Mm-hmm. But you don't like it. Yeah. What is your favorite word?
Well, sure, I don't know. actually. That's a strange one.
That's all right.
My favourite word. I say essentially a lot.
Essentially is a nice word. I like it.
Essentially.
Yeah. What's your favorite curse word?
Twat.
Twat.
Yeah, twat.
You're the first. That's a good one.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's a good
I've
one.
called a lot of people around here giant narcissistic twats of late. I know I've actually said that to their face. And they've never been spoken to like that before. And I'm like, well, I'm happy
Well,
to
that's
be
what
the
you
first.
are. Just so you know, that is
Yeah.
what you are. Bernadette said it. Bernadette said it.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing what you're doing right now, what other career would you be following or pursuing?
A doctor. Well, I don't know. I feel it's like a vocation for me rather than a career. So I don't.
Yeah.
I would some kind of probably like some kind of working with I'd like to disaster medicine. I'd probably be some kind of like work in a shelter or something. I don't know.
I get it. Something helping people is what I'm hearing. Helping people in trauma and traumatic situations and deadly, harsh situations. Yeah. And I, like you, I'm not nearly as, I have no medical knowledge or anything. And so I'm not trained like you, but I too see what I do as a vocation. Words and being and speaking with people. This is something that I feel called to do as well. So I get that.
Yeah.
Wine or whiskey?
Well, I don't drink alcohol, so
okay, good.
I am a qualified wine and whiskey taster from years back, so I would actually. I know. Yes.
I love it.
I'm known very well for my Pepsi Max consumption.
Oh.
I literally live off Pepsi Max.
Oh, so, okay. So that's our drink, Pepsi Max.
Yeah, Pepsi Max.
Okay, so you're either a Coke or a Pepsi person, because my husband is a Coke person, and so to him, Pepsi is like the devil.
Yeah. Okay. No, Coke's the devil to me.
See,
there's
you're either or. Yeah. There are these two very different camps: Pepsi or Coke. Yeah.
Pepsi Max. Yeah. No. The rest is just horrible. I will only drink that, and I know the difference. I can do a blind taste test. And I know the difference.
So can he. Yeah. No doubt.
Absolutely.
Last question, Dr. Bex. If heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get there?
I don't know. You did well.
That's beautiful. You
and
did well.
Introduce me to my mum again, and then I can give her a hug.
Yay! What's mom's name?
Mary.
Mary. That was my grandmother's name.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Mary.
It'll be her 6-year anniversary in January, so that's always a bit difficult. But I'm pretty sure she'd be very proud of me.
Oh, I'm going to be bold enough, though I've never met Mary, to tell you definitively she is proud of you. She's extremely proud of you. I think that you are doing things that she couldn't even fathom that you would do. You're doing things that she couldn't even fathom a child of hers doing. You understand? Like, when you are raised in a certain situation, you don't even have the dream. So I think you are doing things that she didn't even know one could have the dream to do. She's most proud. I appreciate you so much for sharing time and space with me, Dr. Bex.
Oh, thank you for asking me. Sorry about the start where I was dropping the phone. It just shows that no common sense.
No, I loved it. It was almost like calling my mom. It was like, okay, like my mom would be like, I can't see you. I'm like, because your fingers in front of the camera.
Yeah, I do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's all right, Dr. Bex. Thank you.
Okay.
I can't wait to see you over at Fat Girl Running.
Yeah.
Have a beautiful night.
You have a good day.
Bye.